So I hope everybody has been doing well during level 4 and coming into to level 3. If you are currently working or have been working, my hat goes off to you for keeping wheels turning within the various sectors you guys currently work in. And yeah, it is good to be able to finally engage with our membership. And being able to actually provide you guys an update in terms of some of the work that our network has been engaging in. So yeah, we're going to kick off around about 11:05. We're just going to wait for a few more people to sign in. So yeah, if you haven't already, grab yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, a juice. It's up to you if you want to make an alcoholic beverage at 11 o'clock. Yeah, so we'll kick it off around about 11:05. If you haven't already taken a look at the documents there that we will be talking about, if everybody clicks onto the chat at the bottom of their screen, I have just sent a link to our PSA Pasefika Network page on the PSA website. So if you click on that link and scroll all the way down till you see a tab where it says resources. So we'll be talking in particular to the strategy, gender pay principles, Pasefika principles, and the engagement papers, as those were the main documents that were presented at our Fono last year in June. And that's pretty much the work we have been continuing with throughout this time. So yeah, looking forward to providing that update at 11:05 for all of our newer people there that have just signed in. So yeah. Welcome Amy, Christian, Josephine, Leoniva, Lee, Lepaola, Nain, Celita, Talavao. Who else do we have on here? And Tony. Apologies if I do mispronounce your name. Just let me know in the chat. Welcome also to Malia. Oh, it's good to see you made it online, Kahu. So yeah, Brian, do you want to let us know what you've been doing during level 4 while we're waiting for people to come online?
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to everyone that's joined us in our first ever Zoom conference this morning. My name is Brian Palalangi, the other co-convener of the Pasfika Network within the PSA. We may have met at some of the previous events and some of the other meetings that we've had. So look, just touching on some of the things that Walla went over about being in this exceptional circumstance that we're all being faced with the COVID-19 issues. And during the alert level 4, the agency I work for, the New Zealand Transport Agency, was considered a essential service, but within the business there were certain business groups that complied with being an essential service. So I worked in a business group that fortunately wasn't deemed to be essential, which allowed me to stay home and work from home. So me and my little family, my wife and my 10-year-old daughter, have spent the last 5 odd weeks just mulling around at home, only leaving when we needed to. That was for doctor's appointments, and my wife had the task of going and doing our shopping for us, and had to wait in the queues along with everyone else. So it's been an interesting time, and as we about to move into alert level 2 tomorrow, we'll start getting back to the new norm. It'll be a while before we ever get back to how we operated prior to the situation we're currently faced with. So looking forward to engaging everyone this morning and talking about the things that we've been doing since our last National Fono. We'll be guided through our conference today. Walla will be our primary host for us, so he'll be taking the lead, and of course we've been ably supported by our Zoom conference administrator, Bronte. So Walla will take care of any other housekeeping issues, but good to have you with us this morning, and looking forward to our great lines of discussion. Thanks, Walla.
Thanks for that, Brian. Yes, so we are looking forward to catching up with everybody. For those of you who have just joined us, welcome. If you could click on the chat function at the bottom of the screen, you will see that there has been a link sent in the chat function, which will take us to our PSA Pasefika Network page on the PSA website. So if you click on that link, scroll down till you see the resources tab, and on that tab you will see the papers there that we'll be talking to, which is the Pacific Network strategy, the principles, gender pay principles, and the engagement papers. So these were the papers there that were taken to National Fono last year in June, and what we will be providing an update on. So we'll kick this off at 11, as we continue to wait for a few more people to jump online. It was good to see that. Sorry, one moment, please, caller. I'm just sending the link now in the chat, and there you go. It was good to see that there was a large number of people who actually did want to engage and find out what it is that the network has been doing. So it's good to see you all jumping in online. So I can see we have just hit 11, so I think we will get ourselves started. So before we do the introductions and welcome, if I can ask Brian please to quickly open us up with the prayer before we carry on with our whānau. Thank you.
Our most righteous and eternal Father in heaven, as we humbly come together this morning to be able to engage as like-minded Pasfika members within the New Zealand Public Service Association based in Auckland, we're grateful for the wonderful day which we've been given and for the opportunity to come together. We ask at this time that as we embark on this Zoom conference this morning, that our technology will be seamless and be able to run and function in a manner that will allow us to undertake the business that we have outlined for today. We're grateful for those members, whether they be PSA members or those who are of interest who are joining us this morning, that they'll be able to raise their issues and questions, that they will be led and understand the issues that are facing our workers in this day and age. We're grateful for those who are responsible for the arrangements of the committee, our organisers, and those of our directors within the PSA organisation. we're grateful for all that we have. We pray that the Spirit will be in attendance, that our minds and hearts will be open and receptive to the messages, that we'll be able to recognize and treat each other in a manner that is in accordance with the principles that have been taught to us by our Saviour, Jesus Christ. We recognize the hand in our lives. We express our love for thee so much. Is our prayer at this time as we open our Zoom conference this morning in the sacred and holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for that, Brian. And welcome to anybody else there that has just jumped on during the opening prayer. So noia e Māori, ki rana tātou katoa toi te aroa mata I te atua, ia e momoa ono whaatalofa atu le pa ia lasilasi ma le awhia nei, whaatalofa I tupu matamali I whale tua matausi ai mai se wo e masani. So talofa everybody, welcome to our PSA Pasefika Network Fono for today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Walo Whainga Mareko, but everybody knows me as Walo. And I am one of the current co-conveners for the PSA Pasefika Network. So just before we kick off, I'm going to get Brian and the rest of our panelists to introduce themselves before we start getting into the agenda. So if I can hand it over to Brian, and then we'll go to Stella, then Seal, and then Bronte last. Thank you.
Good morning and greetings, everyone. My name is Brian Palalangi. I'm currently the national co-convener of the New Zealand Public Service Association's Committee Pasifika. I work hand in hand with Walo on shepherding and guiding our Committee Pasifika. I'm based in Auckland. I work for the New Zealand Transport Agency as a Principal Investment Advisor. I'm married and have one daughter. And have been a member of the committee and a workplace delegate for a few years. So looking forward to this engagement this morning. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou katoa toa e te aroa maata o te atua. My name is Stella Tereki. I'm a PSA organiser based in Wellington. I'm of Cook Island descent. I organise currently in the public service sector and the community public services sector.
Cool, thank you, Brian and Stella. Going to Seal.
Talo whalawa, maro soi fōrangi, my name is Seal Suwape Kaspale. I'm an organiser in the public sector up here in Auckland. I'm of Samoan descent and I've been with the PSA since June last year. Prior to that, I was in Australia for the last 5 years working in the unions there. And prior to that, I was with First Union before I went over. Good to be back home. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Seal. And then, so I'll just hand it over to Bronte, who will introduce yourself, but also go through the various Zoom functions that we have available to us today.
Hi everyone, so thanks for that introduction. So yeah, I'm Bronte, I'm from the PSA Communications team where I'm our digital comms advisor. So I focus on our digital communications like writing on the website, posting on the PSA Facebook page, finding an excuse to put pictures of my cats on there. And of course helping with things like Zoom. So for those that haven't used a Zoom webinar, which maybe many of you for me, my first one was literally just 2 weeks ago, so still new to it myself. But I'll just quickly run you through sort of how it works. So on the screen, unlike a Zoom meeting where everyone can see everybody, for a Zoom webinar, as you can probably tell by now, you can only see the hosts, and when we choose, you can see the panelists as well. So I've got our awesome hosts, Brian and Wallo, filling the screen with their beautiful faces. We'll quickly look at your audience functions. So the bottom of the Zoom screen, if you're on a PC, you should see or a laptop or anything, you should see your audio settings on the far left. In the center should be the options for chat, raise hand, and Q&A. Then on the far right, the option to leave the meeting. If you're on a smartphone, the same buttons should be around, but they might be hiding in different spots. So with audio and video, if for some reason there's been a mistake and you're able to activate your video, then please keep it off just to avoid disruption. And with audio, you're all muted at the moment. However, depending on how things play out, because it's all a bit, all kind of finding our way at the moment, we may or may not invite you to speak, in which case you'll get a pop-up on your screen that will say, the host would like you to unmute your microphone. So of course it's your choice. When it comes to the chat function, if you click the chat button, it opens the in-meeting chat, just kind of like MSN Messenger or Facebook Messenger. Well, MSN, that's old school. So this allows you to send messages to the host, to the panelists, or to all the attendees. So throughout this, it would be best if you can like limit the chat to relevant content. So for example, I mean, if someone makes a mistake, you can post a correction, or if there's a comment that's relevant to what's being said. But if we can reduce, just because there's a few of us, if we can reduce too much chit chat would be ideal, so that important stuff doesn't get too lost. So for example, if I was like sharing a link for everyone to look at. But if you have a question that doesn't quite seem right for the Q&A, which I'll get to in a moment, then feel free to send it to the appropriate host or panelist. But just keep in mind that everyone might be fielding messages from a lot of different people. So if you have a message that gets missed at any point, please don't take it personally. We will do what we can to get to any messages and questions. So then with the Q&A window allows you to ask questions to the hosts and panelists. So we can either reply to you via writing a message, or we can say, hey, your message will be answered live. So we don't know yet what questions you may or may not have, so we can't predict entirely how we'll tackle them. But in general, it's just good practice to double check the other questions that have already been asked, just in case yours already has. And yeah, just bear with us. And for the raise your hand function, unless instructed or like invited to, maybe just avoid using it, because on the administrative side, it's actually not very obvious when someone's raised their hand. You kind of have to go looking for it. So if you're doing it as a way to get attention, it's heinously ineffective at that. So unless invited or instructed to, if we can just avoid using that. If you've got questions, just use the Q&A. And finally, please be patient. This is our first virtual Fono, and we're still getting used to some new technology. So if we find ourselves floundering or accidentally screen sharing anything that we shouldn't, then please forgive us. But for the most part, I hope that this goes really well for everyone. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Oh, thanks heaps for that, Bronte. Okay, team. So we're going to get straight into it. So for those of you who have just joined us, there's a link in the chat. So if you move your mouse to the bottom of the screen, click on the chat function, you'll see there that there's a link in there that goes to our PSA Pasefika Network page on the PSA website. So if you click on that and scroll all the way down until you see the resources tab, you will see the papers there that we'll be speaking on today. So that is the strategy, the principles, the gender pay principles, and the engagement working party. The engagement paper there that was presented at National Fono last year in June. So welcome again, and so yeah, let's get straight into it. Apologies if you end up seeing people coming onto my camera. I'm just currently at work at the moment, so yeah. Anyway, getting into the strategy paper. So for those of you there that weren't able to attend National Fono last year, so the Pasefika Network and the current interim committee that have been doing the work over the past maybe year and a half or almost 2 years have been working very hard and alongside our organisers Stella Tereki, Sio Kasipale, as well as Dwayne Leo, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it onto our call today. And so part of their strategy paper was pretty much creating a structure, sort of pretty much a building block really, to rebuild our network. And so if you open up the document, you actually see that the streams we were actually working on in terms of the strategy was the vision, the growth, representing Pacific workers' views on issues, empowering Pacific workers to use their voices constructively, embracing a respectful, open, safe, and positive environment in which we all come together to discuss, support, and find solutions for our issues, as well as represent Pacific member values, beliefs, and diversity with honesty and integrity. So these papers were rolled out into our regional Fonos that happened in April last year. correct me if I'm wrong, Brian and Stella. And so we rolled it out because we wanted to get feedback from our members around whether or not this fits us as a network, or whether or not this fits us as a membership. And so after this paper got endorsed last year in June, where the National Fono was held here in Wellington. Since then, we have been able, and I hope you have all been able to see it, that we were actually able to start rolling out the new election of our new PSA Pasefika Network committee. So the nomination process closed, I think it was just before lockdown was announced, and so we will be going into the formal elections that it should roll out on Thursday.
Just to clarify on that, Wallo, that we were right at the point of receiving expressions of interest for those positions. Then lockdown happened. And we made a decision in conjunction with our manager, who's responsible for our network, to hold off on the positions that needed to go to a voting process, because there were 7 positions, 5 of them need to go to a voting process. And we made the decision that we would take it to the voting process when level 2 kicks in. So keep an eye out for that information that will come out with regards to those who have expressed interest in each of those positions, with their bios attached to it for you to be able to then vote on your preferred candidate for each of the positions.
Cool, thank you for that, Stella. So if you take a look throughout the document, it actually outlines the various positions within the committee, but also what we expect them to do while we're in those positions. In terms of the women's representative and the youth role, so because PSA already has a women's network and already has a PSA youth network, we are wanting to be able to link those positions into those current networks, and so we are currently working on that at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to get that confirmed there and up and running by our next regional funnel. So if you keep scrolling through, it pretty much. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, with that particular with that structure too, there's a note around 2 PSA organisers. So that's the only part of that structure that's not included. The PSA organisers, it's up to the PSA as the organisation to determine the resource that's provided to each of the networks. And that, so while it was proposed by the membership that the preference is to have 2 PSA organisers, that decision hasn't been made by the PSA.
Thank you for filling in that gap. I knew I'd forgotten something, but yes, if you scroll through that document, it talks about what we expected to do as a committee, but also talks about the different membership or different ethnicities there that fall under the Pasefika Network. So if you have any questions, guys, you can either use the Q&A function at the bottom. Otherwise, if it's easier for you to talk rather than type, because I know some of us may not be touch typists, then please raise your hand. Cool. Brian, is there anything you would like to add to what I've said in terms of that paper?
No, I think you've covered it adequately off in the paper. Just probably, if I could spend a couple of minutes while we're in the participants, take us one step back to why we're where we are today, because as I looked through the list of attendees, there are not many names there that jumped out to me saying that they were familiar from other engagements that we've had. And we do have a pattern of this, and we are moving to address that. And one of the issues that we found, folks, is that those who have been coming to our engagements, and bear in mind that this is the first engagement we've done through this this medium. Others have been through regional funnels held within the respective regional centres, and they've predominantly been with Wellington and Auckland because that's where the strength in numbers has shown to be. Since then, since we've had these engagements, there have been some interest shown in Hamilton, Waikato region, and also in Christchurch. And so we talk about the last National Fono, which we held in June last year. And these documents that we're talking to today is documents that were presented to the attendees at the National Fono and endorsed by the membership that attended those. And so they become our working documents going forward. And the work that Wallo's just outlined in terms of the Pasefika strategy and the way that the network is operating moving forward relates to the voting processes that we've had. And so if you're sitting there wondering, you've come into this and this is new to you, then apologies for that, but it's a work that has been progressed over a number of years and culminated in the National Fono held last year, where the work streams that are being updated today came through that. And so you'll see that the work is ever going. It changes, and there was a great need because we were having a series of regional finals that had been scheduled to be held prior to the situation we have now with COVID-19. And so they have had to have been put on the back burner. And without delaying that, we really needed to reach out to the membership, current membership, and those new to the network to update them on the work that we've been doing. Now, I want to go back also to a point I touched on earlier in regards to addressing the membership. So one of the issues we had was that as new Pasifika, or sorry, not new, but members who are of Pasifika origin descent were becoming known to the Pasifika network. They wanted to know what was happening. And so we would have an issue where we found that our statistical records weren't capturing all and sundry. That is, all those who designated themselves as Pasifika, but weren't being captured in the records in a formal way. That has since happened. And so this engagement that we're having now is the first engagement where all those within the Public Service Association across the Auckland, Wellington, Hamilton and Christchurch areas who have identified themselves as Pasifika are on the database now and captured. And so whilst you might be new today, the work has been evolving. And so hopefully, that's the crash course and, coming up to speed with the PSA's Committee Pasefika. The committee is made up of workplace delegates, rank and file, members like yourselves who have an interest in not only the furthering the work that will benefit our Pasifika families, but also those towards the wider communities. And the network is supported by, at the moment, 3 organisers. They are paid officials by the PSA. They're not assigned to this work. They actually do this work voluntarily. It's on top of their day-to-day duties. And just as the committee members that have been working on these various work streams, they've been doing this voluntarily as well. And so they find time to do this. So, as I say, apologies if it's coming across as a bit rushed, but it is what it is, and we've drawn the line in the sand, and we're moving forward from there. So hopefully you've had a little bit of a chance to have a work through the document that Wallo just taken you through. It's not going to sink in right away, and there'll be plenty of opportunities to be able to raise any questions after we've had these discussions today. So this is the first of many to come. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Brian. And just start touching on the expansion of work that has happened in the strategy space. So some of you who are come from the agencies within the public service sector, DIA, MB, and OT. So part of the work that was actually that was actually birthed out of the strategy strand was the Pacific National Delegate that from Auckland region you currently have Kahu, who was the Pacific National Delegate for our DIA. For those of you there that don't know what DIA is, that is the Department of Internal Affairs. So Kahu was originally our first Pacific National Delegate, who pretty much was paving the way for the Pacific membership within DIA, in terms and started working on things like, okay, so for us as Pacific, what are the barriers in terms of career progression? And so during their National Fono last year, they were able to start getting all of the responses from their Pacific people, and have been able to progress that well within DIA. But I'll get Stella to touch on that more. In terms of the work there that's happening within DIA. For those of you who were within MB, you have Leah Rees, who was based in Christchurch. So she was newly elected towards the end of last year, and so we are currently working with her around some of the pieces there that she's currently engaging on. And then for OT, you have Timena Kiria, who is currently based in Auckland. And so yeah, we are currently just helping and supporting our three ladies in those roles in order to progress for our Pacific members within those agencies, but also the hope is that we are able to pretty much expand that across the 5 sectors within PSA. Stella, are you able to talk about some of the work there that has been going on within DIA, please?
So, I mean, I guess the intent of creating a Pasefika National Delegate is for our Pasefika workers to have a voice in the workplace, and to have a specific person that is taking a lead on that. And so with DIA, we took the opportunity to create that role. We got confirmation, I guess, for some of you who are in public service sector organisations, you will know about some of the sophisticated delegate structures that exist there, where you have national delegates and worksite delegates. And for some organisations, some of that is funded for those delegates to be able to carry out their role. So we wanted to make sure that the role was authentic, and that it was supported by the organisation to be able to engage and participate in all activities to do with Pacific workers, and not just a role in name only. And so we got agreement from our national delegate structure that actually, yes, this is a role that we think is important and that we should have in this organisation. And we went through a process of an election, and that's where Kahu came into the role, which was fantastic. The timing was perfect, but also what was happening in the background of the network is that we were developing principles. We were developing a Pacific lens on the gender pay principles. The gender pay principles about the pay gap between men and women of similar types of roles. But we were quite purposeful in DIA, where we had a focus on ensuring that where that conversation existed, that there was also a lens on the ethnic pay gap. And so that created an opportunity for us to engage in a conversation, but at the same time, the timing was perfect because DIA as an organisation held a national fono. And that national fono, the likes of Kahu and Ofina and Leanne were able to organise a workshop for those participants to come along to talk to the PSA about barriers that are created within their organisation that hamper them from progressing and have them sit in those transactional roles where you traditionally find Pacific Island workers. What are the systems, what are the things that are in place that enable those sorts of behaviours within the organisation? I am happy to hear from Afina and Kahu and Leanne if you're on. I thought it was a great discussion. I thought it was a safe discussion for our people to be able to just write on post-its, like let's have a conversation about what those barriers are. Write on post-its, put them up and let's clean them up. And you know, the themes were actually, if you were to do it, you would say, yeah. Around recruitment, around secondments, around shoulder tapping, around opportunities, around a Pākehā way of doing things, around a perception that this is the way that Pacific Islanders work, around interpreting Pacific Islanders being humble, around not acknowledging that a Pacific Island person can lead a church group, but they can't lead a team within an organisation. So all those sorts of things that kind of, you know, you probably experience in your own workplaces. And from that, we're able to engage further in a conversation with the department about, okay, well, how do we progress some of these things? But where do we take these things and that? And, you know, we have the conversations around the gender pay gap. That exists right across government. So all government departments should be talking about that anyway and developing action plans. We also have the conversation around inclusion and diversity. But what we do know came out of it was there was a paper that was presented to ELT around recruitment, specifically around recruitment. It's in its infancy, and Afina and Kahu, again, you may be able to talk to it a little bit more around that kind of refers to some of those barriers and some of the things that the department needs to do to be able to overcome those barriers. Yeah, I think, is that enough? Is that?
Yep. Okay, so Orfina would like to add on, so I'm just going to allow you to talk. There you go, Orfina. You just need to unmute yourself. Kia ora.
Kia ora, kia ora everyone. Thank you so much for that, Stella. I think the only thing that I could add is that one of the things you talked about is system conditions and the environment that people are working in. I think for us, and the success of that funnel was actually having our Pacific strategy. And that is I guess the umbrella that we use to do all the things that we could within the Pacific space, and Pacific staff development was just a no-brainer. Last year's funnel was actually a build on previous year's funnel. Have had sign off from ELT to have another funnel in 2021. And the 2018 funnel was the first time that as a department we brought our Pacific staff together in 7 years. So that was quite significant. I think one of the challenges during that funnel was actually glamorizing PSA and making people prioritize coming to the PSA session over other sessions. And I think we've been quite fortunate that at DIA, PSA has some successes that we can use as examples to be able to draw people to come to PSA run sessions, and not just sort of look at PSA from the lens of having to only engage with PSA when, excuse my language, when shit hits the fan. So that was one of our challenges, was actually selling the importance of taking part in PSA and things such as the Pasfika PSA network, and the positive experiences that you can actually experiences or working groups and learning and development opportunities that you can get from PSA. So that was number one. Number two, as well as having you, Stella, there as the DIA organizer, where people can actually hear straight from the horse's mouth around PSA's role, what are the opportunities that are available within PSA, and not just having to rely on workplace delegates. And I think the third thing was being able to see a continuation. So actually believing that whatever was discussed at that forum would actually eventuate into something. It wasn't just a talk fest. And one of the good things that happened quite quickly after we had come together was the fact that we had an HR meeting. And it wasn't just with an HR advisor or a representative from HR, but it was actually meeting the decision makers within HR, which is our HR director, who fortunately for us at GIA is an active Pasefika Network member. She is European Samoan and has always been a champion and a role model for Pacific workers. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for that, Mafina. And yeah, so that's just us some of the work that that our people have been doing in those varied spaces.
Well,
But
look,
yes,
can I just say our intent is to infiltrate all government departments with the Pasifika national delegates, and that so we currently have 3 out of the 20 odd government departments that exist, and our intent is to have 1 in each one so that we can have a Pacific voice for the organisations across government, a specific Pacific voice.
Yeah, and I think that touches on what we are continuously continuously pushing, that just because you have a brownie on the committee doesn't mean that they are going to be the nominated Pacific rep, and that there's an actual process in order to give people those voices. And so yeah, the hope is that come end of this year we have about my maths is really bad, 17 other national delegates to sit alongside our 3 current ladies. So team, if you do have any further questions in terms of what we have just spoken about under the strategy stream, then please do not hesitate to ask. Otherwise, at this moment we are going to flick over to the PSA Pasefika engagement paper, and if I can get Brian to speak to the space, yeah, because then you don't have to listen to me. So thank you.
Thanks, Volo. So if you can work your way through the engagement paper, there's been quite a bit of work sustained in getting this paper to where it has. So I need to acknowledge those Working Party committee members, and the Working Party committee tasked with the streams that have come up with these strategies. And so you just heard from Wallo and his team on the strategy, the Pasefika strategy. We have a Pasefika engagement strategy as well. And so part of the team for the strategy was Kahu Lausiale Ta'awhi, based in Auckland. Leota Alice Meredith, also based in Auckland. Then we had Nia Bartley, based out of Wellington, and Tanya Swatru, also based out of Wellington, and myself as part of that team. And so what the engagement strategy came up with was work streams to reach out and connect and engage with our Pasefika members within the communities. The work streams, as outlined in the strategy, also overlaps with the strategy, the strategic strategy for Pasefika. And these strategies have also not only to connect our Pasefika members, but also to connect across the networks within the the PSA umbrella. So they're the other networks that exist within the PSA. That's the youth, the various other organisations that we have. And so the work involves doing things that will enable that engagement, reaching out to communities, and doing that through community activities, through events. Unfortunately, this year, the most recent event would have been the, sorry, just bear with me for a minute, I've got a bit of a hiccup here. it was the Auckland Pasefika Festival. But as we were about to launch out on that, of course, the decision was made that due to the COVID-19 that didn't go ahead. But prior to that, the most recent event was the Pasefika evening that was held in Auckland. So that was an awesome event. Over 100 people attended that event. And that was held in the heart of South Auckland, in Otahu. That was a great evening. But from that, again, it wasn't the first. Sorry, it was the first of many events to come. There are other events, as noted in the document, in regards to hosting, possibly other community events, maybe housing events, some type of fundraising events. We are conscious of the fact that when we hold, an event such as a housing or a bingo, and the gambling side of things that come into it, and the problems that exist within Moeau Pasifika people when it comes to issues around gambling and so forth. So we're very careful to try and choose events that will try and not further the issues that are held in those areas. So our strategy, whilst was signed off in June last year, it evolves, but there are a lot of activities listed on there to be done. We've only just scratched the surface, and the events that have been held between Auckland and Wellington, and as other metropolitan areas come involved in the network, then they'll be able to host similar types of events. So the events are never ending. There are many that we're still to touch on. There's work being done in terms of developing some type of induction template that can also be rolled out across the organisations, just to say, hey, there is a Pasifika component within your organisation. I just want to make a fact of the point that whilst we have the runanga, who are our tangata whenua brothers and sisters and colleagues, they are legislatively recognised within the structures, and so it is. Whereas the Pasifika is a network, is an organised network, and there has been a lot of work to ensure that the Pasifika network became recognised and established, because in the early days it wasn't that supportive of that happening. So that's been a major achievement for the Pasifika network and its work. So the work is ongoing, and as the structures of the Pasifika committee evolves and becomes embedded, there'll be opportunities for members in the communities and members who are attending this conference call to put their hand up and seek out ways to become involved in the work, whether it's just on simple tasks or rolling your sleeves up and getting involved in the work. So if I see my colleague Go is online, if Go, you're more than welcome to add a few gems or a few snippets if you wish to, given that you were a key player in the development of the engagement strategy and a key member of that committee. So that's enough for me for now. Just an aside, it's an admin thing really, Walu. I've been trying to click on and off the video function on my screen, but it's not letting me do that. So anyway, so Go, if you want to take a minute or two to add some thoughts, then we'll move back to Walu. Thanks.
Pasifika, greetings and mahalo to everyone who's on board. Yeah, thank you, Brian. No, basically, Brian, you did have covered everything of our goals of the engagement paper that was created. Basically, working through this paper, we aim to continue to engage as much with our Pasifika membership. within PSA. So we have been able to, like, I guess, work along with some of the engagement from the SIVA into our National Fono last year with having the Dine and Dance. And it, you know, it was good to see our membership turning up, engaging with us, and hopefully we get to create more in the future to come. So basically, yeah, nothing more to add.
Thanks, Ko.
Well, thanks heaps for that, Kahu. So yes, team. So yeah, if I didn't quite capture the whole purpose of that engagement paper was pretty much to be able to engage with our membership in terms of the stuff we are doing, in terms of the stuff you are wanting us to do, but also so that we are able to actually see some of the issues there and concerns there that are being raised across sectors that are currently affecting our people. Stella, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think it was also about raising our profile. PSA Pasefika had not, it had been a while since we had kind of engaged in any activity across PSA. We became a lot involved in the CTU activities, which is the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions, which is the national body we belong to, and the Pasifika activities in that space. But we were kind of ticking boxes in the PSA Pasifika space, and so it was really important that we kind of lifted our profile and our activity. And for some of you, you may never have heard of us prior to this actual whānau and that, but you know, that paper outlines our intent to keep building on our profile and that, so that our members become aware. One of the significant things in there that has changed recently, and someone asked what's our membership at the moment, our membership is 5,000 plus. It's increased because what we've done is that we have pushed through to the PSA that we want our network to be a opt-out network rather than an opt-in. That being that if you tick on your membership form that you are Pacific, then you automatically belong to the network, and it's up to you to opt out. And so that kind of has people come into the network automatically, and that, and if you know, and so again, raising our profile so that Pasifika workers know that we exist and we are their voice, their union voice in their organisation if they want to use us that way.
Cool, thanks for that, Stellis. So yeah, team, if you have any questions about the engagement document, please do not hesitate to ask. Please also know that the documents that are currently up on our page in the PSA website, they aren't set in concrete. They're actually living documents, and so yeah, we would like to get your feedback and ideas on some of the stuff there that we can do in the engagement space, especially for those who have contacts and friends or family there are PSA members well within the Hamilton and Christchurch space. Cool. So we are gonna click over to the PSA Pasefika principles, as well as the PSA Pasefika gender pay principles. So if I can give it over to Stella to talk to that, please. Okay. So while Stella is coming through, so the working party decided that we would provide a Pasifika lens on the gender pay principles there that are rolled out by the State Services Commission, and so we have had two lovely ladies work on this, and that is Jennifer Laulala as well as Kat Samisi from MSD, and so both of these ladies have taken a look at the work we have done as a wider working party, and have pretty much broken it down to the lovely detail there that you see in that paper. So yeah, I'll get Stella to talk more about all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when the gender pay principles came out, we were quite disappointed that there wasn't much reference to ethnicity, and that with consideration to the fact that Pacific workers are probably some of the lowest paid workers across government, and so we wanted to make sure that actually we had a Pacific lens put across that particular document, which then kind of, I guess that created the space for us to be thinking about, well, how do we drive this? How do we then take the work that we're doing and have it become pieces of work within our organisations? And that's how we kind of came up with the idea of having the Pacific national delegates across organisations, and that to be able to take that work and that, and to be able to work with their various departments and being able to achieve outcomes and put the spotlight on the ethnic pay gap within government departments, and that. So it's, you know, it's work that's going to take time, and for some people, like where they're developing action plans in government departments, and it's people's perceptions, it's people's attitudes towards certain types of workers in the organisations, and that. So, but it was a great piece of work done by Jennifer and Catalina. It's the document that I've been able to take along to different national delegate forums to talk about, where Wallo and I have presented, and that to say, actually, we want to create this role, and we're not saying to you, create this role and you decide what it is that the role will do. We want to create this role, and the network has determined what it is that we want you to pursue on behalf of Pacific workers, and so that document kind of outlines some of that stuff. Pacific principles. Sorry, I'm pulling this up as we're talking. So Pacific principles. Our runanga has a set of principles called the Ngā Kaupapa principles, and we spoke to their representative right at the beginning at our very first whono about using their principles, and again putting a Pacific lens on them. And so again, we had a group who took the principles around kotahitanga, rangatiratanga, kaitiakitanga, you'll see them all in the document, and that, to then kind of relate that back to, well, what does that mean for Pacific workers? And again, that's part of what kind of sits within that Pacific National Delegate, to be able to drive within government departments around having those things reflected in terms and conditions of employment as well. And I mean, that's where we want to end up, eh? Like, I mean, and I'm going to go back to DIA because that's where my experience is, and that, like, we are going through bargaining, and that through that bargaining process, we want to make sure that actually we have Māori and Pacific issues raised, and that, because those are the things, like, you can have items sitting in policy that can be changed at the whim of an employer, and that, but you can have things that sit inside your employment agreement that parties are contractually obliged to adhere to. And so that's where we want to end up with some of these things, and that it's not something that sits in a policy document where it can be changed without any consultation, that it is something that's important to Pacific workers, and therefore part of the negotiating process, and again, making sure that that Pacific National Delegate role is part of the structure, so that they have that voice in that bargaining space as well. They don't need to be at the bargaining table, but they can ensure that they are advocating and putting through the issues on behalf of Pacific workers through the bargaining brief, and that's so that it gets raised through that negotiation process. That's me.
Cool, thanks for that, Stella. Yeah, no, so these are pieces of work, are pieces of work there that we are encouraging our Pacific National Delegates to be pushing within their agencies. So you've heard around what has been happening within DIA in terms of that space, and so for those of you that are that are from MB and OT in the Auckland space. Yeah, I would encourage you to have a conversation with your Pasifika National Delegate around what is happening within your agencies in terms of these pieces of work, but also making sure that you guys are currently engaging in the gender pay stuff within your agencies, because although it is recorded that the current ethnic pay gap for Pacific is sitting at somewhere between 22%, that it may actually look very different within your agencies. And so just making sure that you guys as Pacific, who happen to be members and delegates, are actually pushing that through either your Pacific National Delegate, if you do have one, otherwise through to your delegates or your national delegate structure, depending on which sector you come from. So that is pretty much all of the work that we have been doing in the PSA Pasefika space.
Well, can I just add, just on the end of that last discussion piece for our membership, I guess a couple of key takeaways for our membership is firstly, with the principles discussion, this is about, as Stella outlined, this is taking the tangata whenua document that they call it, it's a document called Ngā Kaupapa, and it's taking the elements of those which are uniquely connected to our Pasifika culture and recognizing how that looks through our Pasifika lens. And that is important in our daily workings within our own respective organisations, more so for our more senior Pasifika members within our organisations, because they know the traditions of families and so forth, and the importance of the strength of families. And so those strands of the Ngā Kaupapa document have an important linking to us, and that's an important thing that'll be good for our members to look at. The other one is around the gender pay principles. For us as Pasifika peoples, we can take that one step further and look, as you touched on, Wallo, the significant difference in the ethnic pay gap. And when you look at the statistics, it tells us that Pasifika peoples and Māori factor way down in those scales. And so these are important and key elements within our working lives and affect our communities. And they're the things and the works, key pieces of work that are important to us. And so hopefully you'll be able to espouse those principles to the wider workplace that the members who are attending today are working in. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for that, Brian. Yeah. So basically, we have come to a Q&A space, really. So yeah, if you do have any questions or would like us to speak more on a certain topic that we have spoken to, then please let us know. I know some of us may not be as tech savvy as others. So if you would rather talk rather than type, at the bottom of the participant screen, and Bronte, correct me if I'm wrong, there should be a raise hand function. So if you'd rather talk rather than type there, then please click on that raise hand function, and then I'll be able to allow you to talk based on this function here. Just taking a look at some of the stuff there that we have been updating the working party on. So we actually have a board paper due in for the June executive board paper. So for those of you who don't really know the structure of PSAs, so it goes the executive board, and then it goes the sector committees, which are the 5 different sectors, which is local government, CPS, DHB, public service, and states, and then from there goes the various delegate structures. In terms of the networks, they sit roughly in between the sector level as well as the national delegates or our delegate structures. And so they have asked each of our networks to provide to provide an update in terms of some of the work that we'll be doing within the Pasefika networks, so that they will be going through to the executive board next month. In terms of the COVID-19 special edition newsletter, so that should have come out to you guys yesterday, if I remember correctly. And so that pretty much talks about how it affects our Pacific people within the state and public service, but also allows those within local government, DHB and CPS sectors to keep that front of mind, because although nothing has come out officially in terms of pay freezes and what that looks like for our youth, I think it's better to be thinking ahead around how you guys as delegates who just happen to be Pacific are able to feed into that. But also in terms of the health and safety space, so I think people tend to forget that our family structures, but also how we socialize culturally are very different to most. But also the family structures isn't the normal mother, father, brother, and sister. You know, you tend to have aunties and uncles, tend to have nieces, you tend to have cousins that tend to live with you, and so it is around how you guys can keep yourself safe, as well as those who live with you. And then in terms of the leave provisions, so making sure that you as a Pacific member or as a Pacific delegate do actually know sorry, do actually know what is currently available to you guys within your various agencies as well as sectors, and making sure that you actually take advantage of it, in terms of the leave subsidy. And there was something else mentioned in there which I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, does any of our other panelists have anything that they'd like to add?
Yeah, I think it's important for our members to firstly, acknowledge that it's a very taxing environment that we find ourselves in, and there are many people who have lost their jobs. Many of those will be members of our families, and so whilst the public service has been able to come through this relatively unscathed, there are members of our communities who are not. So whilst the effects may be not as great on our members, the provisions that are provided to support you, particularly those who have had a difficult time with having to balance, if you're an essential worker working, if you or your husband or partner have to work and you've got children. So avail yourselves of those leave opportunities, and as the Prime Minister said, constantly said, be kind. So please, if you haven't received the special COVID-19 newsletter, please seek it out, and be conscious of those things there, because they affect every member of our community.
Definitely, and thanks for that, Brian. Just taking a look at the Q&A set. section. So there has been a question asked around how can we go about providing feedback, and whether or not there is an email channel. So yes, there is. If you are wanting to provide feedback or wanting to ask questions about any of this, you can either email psa.pasifika@psa.org.nz. Otherwise, you can jump on Facebook for those of you that are on Facebook, and add yourself to our PSA Pasifika Facebook page. If I remember correctly, we also have a Twitter account, and you can jump on that as well via PSA Pasifika. Otherwise, yes, team. If there's nothing further, we would actually really like to thank you all for taking the time to come through. And yes, we do look forward to actually engaging with you guys more in terms of these avenues. Please make sure you continue to take a look at the PSA Pasifika page, both on Facebook as well as on the website, as we will be using that a lot more, as we do know not all of our members are on social media. So yeah, we will be trying to keep you all engaged as much as possible. For those of you who aren't getting anything from the network, you can contact or you can either flick an email to the psa.pasifika@psa.org.nz email. Otherwise, you can call the 0508. I should know this off by heart because I call it all the time. Otherwise, you can call it 0508 367 772 to make sure that your email and your contact details are all up to date. So was there anything else, panelists, there that you'd like to add?
You can also log in to your membership details on the website just to check that you are in the network. But yeah, and also encourage any of your other Pasifika colleagues to join the network, or even better, join the union. I want to acknowledge the work that has been done by the Working Party members. They have worked so hard over the last 18 months, and they have donated their own time to be able to develop these papers and to be involved in the network. Most of the work that has been done has been on a Saturday, where we've gotten together, and in their own time after work, or where they can kind of get the ability to be able to pull together the resources that they need to support Pacific workers. So I want to acknowledge them and thank them for their passion for Pacific workers and what they do for the network. You know who you are.
Cool, thanks for that, Stella. Yes, like Stella said, it hasn't been an easy road for some in terms of trying to get time off work, which is why we end up doing what we deem normal for us as Pacific, which is pretty much donating our own time for the better of our people. So yes, like Stella said, we would like to acknowledge all of our current Working Party members, but also our previous ones that haven't been able to continue the journey for various reasons. I can see also in the Q&A section there is a question in terms of who your Pacific delegate is for Auckland Council. So that's a good question, Michael. Thank you for that. So in terms of Auckland Council, you don't currently have a formal delegate that sits within the structure of Auckland Council, but because Dwayne Lell used to organise in that space, he has said that there is willingness. The Pacific membership just need to figure out what that looks like for you guys, and so I would encourage you to have that conversation with your organizer. or with your overall organizer around how that could happen. But also make sure you link into to us if you feel like you need any sort of support around any of that. You have Brian and Seal who are currently based in Auckland. Otherwise, you have myself and Stella who are based here in Wellington.
Seal, do you know who the
Also on that,
organizer is for Auckland Council?
sorry.
Seal, do you know who the organizer is for Auckland Council?
I believe it's Susan Heron. At the minute, because Dwayne had left the council and he's gone over to corrections. So and I don't think and Carol is the other one who's standing for now in a secondment role to cover Dwayne, who's left.
Probably an idea, Michael, to ring the 0508 number and find out and talk to the organizer directly.
Yeah, but that'll be another good idea too. But yeah, as far as I know, that's who Warwick's got covering the area.
Also, Michael, we've got a member of the Working Party who that's Leota Alice Meredith, who works with the Auckland Council Libraries Service. So she's also, I understand, a member of the Moana Pasefika Network at Auckland Council. So there's a few avenues there, but in terms of the actual Pasefika delegate, one doesn't exist at this point in time.
Cool. And then there's a question from Judy around how do you choose a person from government organizations. So I'm assuming this is in terms of the Pacific National Delegate role. So how that works is that it's pretty much Pacific nominate, Pacific vote, and Pacific endorse. So organizers were sent out documents from Stella around how this is all currently progressing, and so if they had any questions, then to please contact Stella. And so with OT and MB, we are finding that hadn't happened quite as much as we had hoped, and so yes, we would like to encourage you within your different agencies to start having those conversations if you'd like that Pacific National Delegate role within your organization, and that to seek guidance either from Stella in the organizer space. Otherwise, you can come through to us us co-conveners.
And it's just like any other workplace delegate. So you must be a delegate to be a national delegate, and you are the Pacific members elect you and that. So your organizer would need to go through a process. Like with workplace delegates, it's the same thing. Members determine who your workplace delegate is. Those workplace delegates then express interest for a national delegate role. It's the same thing. Pacific members determine whether or not there's expressions of interest put out. Pacific members participate in that expressions of interest, and they determine, they nominate and they second who they want to have as their Pacific National Delegate. Those come through, and then you go through a process of an election. And that's so it's the Pacific National Delegate has been put there by Pacific members.
Cool, thanks for that, Stella. So are there any other questions out there, team, that you'd like to ask? Remember, no question is a dumb question. If you have a question that is burning on your heart, then please ask. But yes, otherwise, I think that is us, team. I can see quite a few have dropped out due to other meetings or wanted to go get lunch, so that's fine. But yes, otherwise, thank you everybody for coming through today. We look forward to engaging well with you guys further in the future. And yeah, if you ever need any sort of guidance, any sort of help there, then please do not hesitate to ask. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, team. And oh no, hang on. Yep. So enjoy the rest of your day, team. And yeah, we